Well, welcome back to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse to start off the week. And unfortunately, we're going to start it off on a sour note because of Tony, geez, I'm getting good, Tony Ganios, or whatever the hell his name was, who played Meat in the Porky's trilogy and was in The Wanderers and a bunch of other stuff, sadly passed away last week at age 64. But I don't know what else he was in. I remember seeing him as some kind of bodyguard or something in one film, but other than that, I didn't see too much. He made that role Meat his own. I mean, he was in it for all three of the movies. So rest in peace, Tony. I'm sorry you left so early. The other thing is, if my dog would stop fucking barking out there, she's being annoying. The Sid Haig story for Brooke, because I didn't tell the Sid Haig story. It wasn't Wonder Woman. I got the wrong movie. It was, in Sid's own words, a movie called Woman Hunt, which maybe 6 people saw. And basically, Woman Hunt was another updated version of Most Dangerous Game with women involved. And the story Sid told me was that him, Eddie Romero, and John Ashley were looking to shoot a night scene, and there was a water buffalo. And Eddie Romero thought it would be like a little bit of comedy if Sid sort of laid down and went to sleep with his head on the water buffalo. But the problem was the water buffalo wouldn't cooperate. When it got down, Sid would lay down and it would stand up. So Eddie Romero suggested that maybe if Sid massaged the water buffalo's balls, it might calm him down. Well, Sid said, never let it be said that I didn't take one for the team and I wasn't a team player, so Sid massaged the water buffalo's balls and the water buffalo calmed down and they managed to shoot the scene. Unfortunately, the scene was edited out of the finished product, so you don't get to see Sid sleeping on a water buffalo. But, you know something, I'm going to throw this out there. I put this out right after Sid passed away. It's, what issue was it? It's issue 15 of Grindhouse Purgatory, and there's no reason for you to buy it. It's loaded with the huge interview I did with Sid that, basically it was 4 hours, and a lot of other stuff about Sid and tributes from other writers. But here's the thing. You can read it for nothing. Just go to www.42ndstreetpete.net. It's up there along with Grindhouse Purgatory's greatest hits, so there's no reason that you should have to go fucking pay for this because, like I said, I don't get a nickel out of it. But that ain't the point. The point is you get to read it for nothing because Sid was a cool guy. He was one of the more stand-up guys at the convention circuit and was a good friend to me. So, yeah, read it for nothing on me. So let me take you back to 1970 for a Western called Barquero, which marked Lee Van Cleef's return to American Westerns, and the last one he had done was a small role in How the West Was Won back in the 60s. He came back to do this one in between spaghetti westerns. And this was going to be directed by Robert Spar, but he was killed in a helicopter crash while scouting locations. So he was replaced by Gordon Douglas, who went back as far as Little Rascals episodes and directed one of my favorite westerns, Rio Conchos. Now, along with Lee Van Cleef, this film also starred Warren Oates, Forrest Tucker, John Davis Chandler, Maria Gomez, and Mariette Hartley. And Mariette Hartley had co-starred with Warren Oates before in Ride the High Country, along with John Davis Chandler, the Sam Peckinpah film. This one is about Van Cleef is a bargeman named Travis who has a barge on this river where there's a settlement of squatters, as he calls them. Because he's a mountain man. He lives with this mountain woman named Nola, played by the very well-endowed Maria Gomez. Well, Jake Remy, played by Warren Oates, is an outlaw, and he is in bed with some sleazy hooker, and his men are filtering into the town, and basically they take over the town, kill everybody in it, and steal a shipment of rifles, a load of silver, and just about everything else that isn't nailed down into town. Now, being that this was made in 1970, only a year after the Wild Bunch, you might expect some Wild Bunch type violence. Well, there's a lot of shootings and killings, but there's no visible blood squibs. And on a few of the kills, the camera cuts away, especially when Oates shoots the hooker he was in bed with and also shoots a girl who was being raped by one of his men. They cut away with that. Now they're all loaded up, and they're going to go to the town, the settlement, take over the barge, and get across the river and go to Mexico with the guns, the loot, and do something that they were doing before, because in a flashback you'll see that Oates was almost being killed by the people he worked for when his number one man, Marquette, played by Karen Matthews, slipped him a derringer and he shot the guy who was in charge. The guy who was in charge had this gold crown around his hat, which was switched to Oates during the filming. Oddly, here's the poster for Barquero. This is one poster for Barquero, which I had used on one of the issues of Grindhouse Purgatory. There was another poster, which I don't have, which basically was the Warren Oates body laying down with the hat on, but with Lee Vance Cleave face on it for some reason, which never happened in the movie. That fucking hat didn't stray too far from Warren's head. Well, Remy sent 3 guys in to make sure they had the barge, led by John Davis Chandler as fare. And they get the upper hand on Travis, tie him up, and unbeknownst to them, Mountain Man Phil, played by Forrest Tucker, has taken out 2 of the guys and sneaks up behind Fair and puts the knife to his throat. Well, they want to know what Remy's plans are, and Fair won't talk. So Mountain Phil takes him over where some ants are building a nest and shows him that he's eaten just about everything that walked or crawled on the face of the earth, he tells Fair. And he sticks his hand down in the nest and the ants cover it and he puts it up to his mouth and he's eating the ants. Well, he goes, well, you don't want to talk? Well, ants got to eat too. And he starts pushing Fair's head into the nest, where Fair basically says that they want to grab the barge, use it to ferry all the shit across the river, and then set it on fire. Of course, this doesn't sit well with Travis, who basically rounds up all the squatters and brings them to the other side of the river. So now Remy is stuck with his loot on the one side of the river and tries to make some kind of fucking deal, a wagon load of silver for the barge. But they all know it's going to be a double cross. So what happens is one of the squatters, character that's playing the Mariette Hartley's character's husband, is captured. And they decide that, okay, they got this guy, they'll trade him for Fair. Well, they march Fair up to the deck of the barge, and Remy shoots him from across the river and saying, now you got nothing to trade. So there's a weird deal made, which I don't know what happened to this scene. It was obviously cut out. I've seen stills of it where basically the Mariette Hartley character promises to bed down with Travis if he can free her husband, which him and Phil go over there, cut a couple throats, and free him. So Remy is getting more and more bent by the moment. He's laying there smoking weed, and Marquette tells him, maybe you better lay off this stuff, and then he has the flashback where he kills the guy who was going to kill him. This is the second time I've seen an outlaw smoke dope in a movie. The first time was John Maria Valente in For a Few Dollars More, and between him and Oates, whatever the fuck they're smoking, I wish I had, because something, we're in fucking Ohio. Yeah, weed's legal, but you can't get it, and they're all worried about the black market. Well, guess what? Fuck you, the black market exists, and I just picked this up yesterday because I'm not waiting. And, in the 51 years that I've been smoking weed, I've only been busted fucking once. So, hey, fuck you guys. So anyway, getting back to this, Marquette devises a way that they're basically going to get the barge by making these small little boats that they can load the outlaws on and shoot over there and get the barge. Well, Travis got wise to this and loaded all the fucking settlers on the barge, so when these little river boats are in the middle of the thing, the barge takes off with the settlers shooting from either side, cutting down all the outlaws. Seeing his men, floating in pools of blood in the river, Remy turns around to Marquette and goes, you and your fucking brains, and shoots him in the head. So now basically all of Remy's gang is dead. Everybody's safely on the other side of the river, and Remy's yelling across the river to Travis, and he goes, it's too bad we didn't meet down in Tijuana. We could have killed a bottle of tequila or something. And Travis yells back, we would have killed something, that's for sure. So both men ready their rifles, aim, and shoot, and Travis knocks Remy out with the bullet. So that was Barquero in 1970. It's a good action film, like I say, relatively bloodless. The characters are great. The off scene must have been really great because you had Warren Oates, who was a partier, Lee Van Cleef and Forrest Tucker, who were big time drinkers, so it must have been really fun at night over there. Lee would co-star again with Mariette Hartley in Return of the Seven, where she would play his wife and is kidnapped, raped, and killed by none other than Gary Busey. So that was down the road a bit. That was also the first Magnificent Seven that was actually filmed in this country, and it was the last of the series until that shitty remake they made. Lee would go back to Europe, of course, and continue with spaghetti westerns, and then come back to the U.S. to do some other films over here, Escape from New York, that horrible thing with Chuck Norris, and some other things. But like I said, Barquero was definitely worth checking out, definitely worth the look, and it's available on Tubi right now in a Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. So it's one of Lee's better movies, and I'll tell you, for an older guy, he did a lot of stuff without a shirt on, and he was a guy in his late 40s, and he was pretty fucking buff back then. So yeah, definitely check out Barquero, and check out the Sid Haig tribute issue on www.42ndstreet.com. And that's all we got for today, so thanks for subscribing, thanks for tuning in. Still have issue number 3 and 1 and 2 available at 42ndstreet.net, rather. I keep saying .com. It's .net, fuck it. I should just paint it on the wall back here, which I may do. So until next show, thanks for subscribing, thanks for tuning in. All those who have purchased some stuff off the website, you have my sincere thanks. Just doing this to keep things going. And we will definitely catch you later on the flip side.